Samantha's heart was pounding as she watched her boss, Elena, pace across the sleek, glass-walled office. She'd been summoned to discuss performance concerns, but the longer she stood there under Elena's piercing gaze, the more she felt that something else was lingering beneath the surface of this late-night meeting. Elena stopped and turned to face her, her arms crossed and her expression unreadable. Her dark hair was pulled back in its usual perfect bun, not a strand out of place, and her sharp suit only added to her intimidating aura. But there was something in her eyes tonight, a flicker of intensity, a smoldering look that sent a thrill through Samantha despite the tension. "Do you know why you're here?" Elena's voice was firm, but her tone had an edge that was almost teasing. Samantha swallowed, feeling the heat of her gaze. "You wanted to discuss my performance." She couldn't quite keep the tremor out of her voice. Elena's lips curved into a slight smile. "Yes," she said, her voice dropping lower as she stepped closer. "Your performance. And maybe a few other things." Samantha's breath caught as Elena's fingers grazed her arm, the touch igniting a spark that ran straight through her. She glanced up, her eyes meeting Elena's, and the unspoken tension between them grew thick and heavy. Elena's gaze was locked on her, filled with something dark and hungry, and before Samantha could process what was happening, Elena's hand slid up to her shoulder, pulling her closer. Without another word, Elena leaned in, capturing Samantha's mouth in a fierce, demanding kiss. It was rough, hungry, as if Elena had been holding back for too long and was finally letting herself take what she wanted. Samantha felt herself melt into it, her hands gripping Elena's shoulders as she returned the kiss with equal intensity, her heart racing as the passion between them flared like a fire. Elena pushed her back against the wall, her hands moving to Samantha's waist, pulling her closer until there was no space left between them. Her mouth moved over Samantha's with a fierceness that left her breathless, her fingers digging into her sides as their bodies pressed together. Samantha's mind spun, her senses overwhelmed by Elena's touch, her scent, the taste of her lips. It was wild, overwhelming, and exactly what she'd secretly craved for so long. "You think you can come in here every day, look at me like that, and not expect consequences?" Elena's voice was rough, her lips brushing against Samantha's neck, her words sending a shiver down her spine. Samantha's breath hitched, but she managed a shaky smile. "Maybe I was hoping for consequences." Elena's eyes darkened, and she pulled her closer, their mouths crashing together again in a kiss that was somehow both harsh and desperately tender. Her hands roamed down Samantha's back, her touch possessive, claiming. Samantha's fingers tangled in Elena's hair, pulling her closer as she gave herself over to the kiss, the heat building between them in a way that left her dizzy and breathless. Elena's hands found her waist, guiding her toward the edge of the desk, and with a quick movement, she lifted Samantha onto it, her lips never leaving hers. Samantha gasped, her fingers curling around the edge of the desk as Elena's mouth moved down to her neck, leaving a trail of hot, open-mouthed kisses that made her head spin. The office felt charged, the normally cool, pristine space filled with an intense, unrestrained energy that made Samantha's skin tingle. Elena's kisses grew deeper, more urgent, her hands roaming over Samantha's body with a hunger that was both possessive and thrilling. Samantha let out a soft moan, her fingers gripping Elena's shoulders as she leaned into her, craving every touch, every kiss, every harsh gasp of breath. Elena pulled back just enough to look into Samantha's eyes, her face flushed, her expression fierce. "You're mine," she whispered, her voice low and rough, filled with a promise that sent a thrill through Samantha. "Yes," Samantha whispered back, barely able to breathe as Elena's lips found hers again, kissing her deeply, passionately, leaving no doubt of the intensity between them. They stayed that way, tangled together in a heated embrace, their kisses growing more frantic, more desperate, as if neither of them could get enough. Hours passed, but the intensity between them never faded, each kiss, each touch fanning the flames higher. Samantha lost herself in Elena's arms, their connection fierce, raw, and exhilarating, a love and passion that neither of them would ever forget. As the intensity between them began to calm, Samantha and Elena slowly pulled apart, breathing heavily, their faces inches away as they looked into each other's eyes. There was a softness there now, a tenderness that hadn't been present in the heat of the moment. Elena's hands lingered at Samantha's waist, her thumb tracing gentle circles as if she couldn't bear to break the connection between them. "Are you okay?" Elena asked, her voice soft, a hint of vulnerability creeping into her usually confident tone. Samantha smiled, reaching up to brush a stray strand of hair from Elena's face. "More than okay," she whispered, leaning forward to place a gentle kiss on Elena's lips. It was slow, unhurried, a stark contrast to the wild passion they'd shared moments before. This kiss felt like a promise, a quiet assurance of what they'd both been holding back. Elena sighed against her lips, her arms tightening around Samantha as they leaned into each other, savoring the quiet intimacy of the moment. They stayed like that for a while, wrapped in each other's embrace, until Elena finally pulled back, her hand reaching up to cup Samantha's cheek. "You know, this isn't exactly what I'd planned when I called you in here tonight," she murmured, a small smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. Samantha laughed softly, her fingers tracing Elena's jaw. "I'd say it's much better than a performance review." Elena chuckled, her gaze softening as she looked at Samantha, her eyes filled with a warmth that made Samantha's heart ache. "I guess we'll have to come up with a new plan. Because I don't want this to be just one night." The sincerity in her voice made Samantha's breath catch. She'd always admired Elena's strength and confidence, but seeing this gentler side of her, the part of her that was open and vulnerable, made her fall even harder. "I don't want this to be one night either," Samantha replied, her voice barely more than a whisper. "I want more." Elena's smile grew, and she leaned down to press a lingering kiss to Samantha's forehead, her arms wrapped securely around her. "Then we'll make it more," she murmured, her voice filled with determination. They spent the rest of the night in Elena's office, talking, laughing, and sharing stories that felt more intimate than anything they'd ever told anyone else. As the hours passed, they drifted between soft, lingering kisses and moments of comfortable silence, simply enjoying the warmth of being close. When dawn broke, casting a soft light through the windows, they finally left the office, walking hand in hand out into the morning sun. Elena glanced over at Samantha, her eyes filled with happiness and a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. "This is just the beginning," she said, her voice filled with quiet confidence. "I don't know where this will take us, but I know I want to find out with you." Samantha smiled, her fingers intertwined with Elena's as they stood together, looking out over the city. "Then let's see where this goes," she replied, leaning up to kiss her softly, sealing their promise with a gentle touch that held the promise of many more nights and mornings together. As they walked away from the office, the world around them felt brighter, filled with possibilities. And with Elena's hand in hers, Samantha knew she'd found something rare and beautiful, a love that was fierce, passionate, and exactly what she'd been searching for all along.